good now. I hope you're doing well, no matter where or when you are. The other weekend, I was able to get into the Elden Ring Night Rain network test, or beta, whatever you want to call it. I was able to play for around 2-ish hours, and I got in about 4-ish runs. I didn't have a lot of time to play it, and I really wish they had gone, the full days to play, like the recent Wilds Monster Hunter beta, because the different blocks and the different times just didn't give me a lot of time to play, and I wish they had done full days so that I could just play on my own time. The gameplay in the background is my last run that I was able to do. I apologize for the poor performance you're going to be seeing. The game didn't really click for me until after I had finished this run. The game still feels good, though. It's a little bit of a mishmash of every Souls game or FromSoft game. It's got like Bloodborne mechanics, like the Duchess that you can see can Bloodborne dodge, and we have Sekiro mechanics like jumping around and climbing up walls, like just now. I do think it feels really good to play. There's a lot of passion and love kind of tossed into it. At least that's how I feel, even just with the demo here. It's worth $40 going on Steam right now for pre-order, and we weren't able to have access to the full game, obviously, but it still feels like it should be worth $40, if that makes any sense. Maybe even $30 if you're not willing to spend that 40. Of course, this video is going to be, or at least me talking, is probably going to be a bit all over the place. I do have a script here, but I keep getting distracted by my own gameplay, and I don't know. But yeah, so sorry about that. God, I really do just keep dying, don't I? Yeah, see, like I said, poor performance. But the game, or at least the beta here, just kind of drops you straight into the roundtable hold. And those who have played Elden Ring and are familiar with it, the roundtable hold has changed quite a bit. The layout has changed. Like where stuff is sort of has changed. I spent probably a good 20 to 30 minutes of my first getting into it, of all the gameplay I was able to, just walking around, kind of looking at things, that all the stuff has changed. All the different, layout and anything that was happening in there. You can even find all the characters that you can play in there, just kind of sitting around the round table, and you can actually talk to them. They only say one-word lines, or one sentence lines, but it was still kind of funny being able to see them and talk to them. I wasn't really expecting them to be voiced, I guess. I'm not sure if they actually say anything whilst out in the field here, but they do talk a little bit inside of the roundtable hold. And yeah, there was just a lot of things there, including a book that lets you read all the info you wanted to about the game. I spent a while just scrolling through and reading through all of them, but it didn't really help me out a lot when I was actually, playing the game here. And speaking of the characters, there was 4 of them that we were able to play. There's Wilder, which is the sword and board guy there. There's the Guardian, who's not in this run, who is the Birdman or tank. God, I really just got blown up. The Duchess, who is the sort of assassin girl. I played her the most. I got through around 3-ish runs with her. She's very fast and a little weird, but I liked playing her. And then the last is the Recluse, who is the mage girl that I'm playing. And each character has their own abilities. They have 3-ish abilities, I should say. There's a passive one, one for normal use that kind of has a sort of quick cooldown, and then an ultimate ability, which I just used here. The abilities were kind of poorly explained, or at the very least, I didn't fully understand them at first, and it's probably because I haven't played Elden Ring in about 6-ish months, but it was never explained fully, or at least not that I could see. The way you use your abilities is you hold triangle and then you press L2 for the left ability, which is your normal ability at the bottom of the screen, and then R2 for the ultimate ability there, which takes a while to load up. And it took me until after this run for that to really click and for me to figure it out. Wilder here, his passive, he just gets to like cheat death once. So as you've seen, I've died a couple times just already in this first area here. He can just ignore that one time. His other ability is he gets a grappling hook. He can pull himself to enemies if it's like a large one, or pull enemies to him if it's small, or if the enemy is small. And then his ultimate is like this huge like bloodborne stake driver explosion that does a lot of damage, and a big AoE sort of around him, or the very least in front of him. The Guardian, he looks really cool. I like him a lot, or at least the way he looks. His left wing is broken, and he has bird feet, which was a little weird to see once I noticed it, but his passive, I wasn't really sure what it was. It seems like he can run with his shield out, or something along those lines. It just said that you can, with your shield out, use the left stick and hold circle. I couldn't figure out what it did, but his other abilities are pretty cool. He can, for his normal ability, he gets to create like a windstorm in front of him, and then if you hold it down, it's like a big AoE around you. And for his ultimate, he like jumps super high in the air and slams back down, does some damage. It creates a big sort of AoE protection circle around him. I don't know how much it protects, but it looks cool. The assassin girl, the Duchess, I played her the most. Her passive is just the bloodborne dodge and a flip if you like do it again. So when you dodge and then dodge again, you first do the bloodborne dodge and then you flip in whatever direction you're going. It's not 100% the bloodborne dodge, because in Bloodborne, when you like dodge around something, you tend to like circle them a little bit, whereas in this one you kind of just dodge either left or right entirely instead of actually just circling around them a bit, which felt weird to get used to. And I don't know, it did feel good to use though, if that makes any sense. Her normal ability though is a little strange. So every time like you hit something, right, you can use your ability and then it creates like a clone of the enemy that you're hitting. So if you hit them like 5 times in a row and then use your ability, the clone gets re-hit for those 5 times, and then the enemy that you cloned then gets the actual damage done to them, which was weird. It took me a minute to fully figure that out. And then for her ultimate, she cloaks herself and all the teammates around her. It turns them invisible, and I think it sort of resets and forces the enemy to lose their aggro. I wasn't 100% sure. Sometimes I would hit something when I was invisible and it just would not react to me. I'm not sure if that was intended or not, but it felt, I don't know, it felt strange. But like when you could get it off and you did like a bunch of hits and then do it again, it just did a lot of damage, and it feels kind of cool to use. And then the last girl, the recluse here that I'm playing, very complex. And she's also partially why I think the abilities are sort of poorly explained. Like they just are on the the left hand of the screen when you're in the training grounds, and they don't really tell you to like hold down triangle. I just kept thinking that you need to just press like L2 and triangle or R2 and triangle at the same time, and sometimes that would work and sometimes it did not. But her passive is a bit weird. So every time you hit something or something gets hit, or with magic I should say, every time you get something gets hit with magic or some sort of element, I think, they get a, what is it called, a affinity residue attached to them. And if you're wondering what the affinity residue is, like I kept wondering because the game never really told me, at least as far as I could find. It's those little circles that you keep seeing, like when I lock on right there, that circle that's around the lock on thing, that is the magic residue that you can then like take with your triangle plus L2, which is your normal ability, and then in doing that, it gives you a little bit of FP back. And every time you use that, you gain like up to 3 stocks that you can see. That then you, depending on what element you take from the affinity, then does something different. It's really strange. Once it clicked for me after this run, it made more sense, but it just did not make sense at the time. And then her ultimate gives you like this large AoE debuff to all the enemies that are in the area. So every time you hit them, you'll gain HP and FP back. It only activates like a handful of times, like maybe 3-4 times during the debuff, and your teammates can also take advantage of it. Ooh, boiled crab. Sorry, I got very distracted there. But it's very good to use. It leaves you very vulnerable though. So part of the reason is like when you're using it, you really take a moment to cast it, I guess. And I don't know. If you can't tell, the gameplay is sort of roguelike-ish. Not really. Personally, I would consider it more to be like a Souls sort of battle royale, but without any PvP. It's very fast-paced. I mean, if you haven't noticed, like breakneck even sometimes. Like the couple runs I did with the Duchess, it was non-stop go, go, go with the people I was with. So you don't really have a heck of a lot of time to really sort of build craft and like pick things up and really kind of like look through stuff over, I think. But I don't know, it's strange, but kind of interesting, if that makes any sense. But yeah, the basic kind of gist of it is that you're like running around looking for new enemies to fight. The storm is always sort of closing in, and you're looking to gather weapons and souls or runes, I guess, to make yourself stronger before the storm completely gets to its smallest sort of form. I think at roughly 15 to maybe 14 minutes per day. And the game has 3 sort of in-game days, so once the day sort of gets to the end, like where the circle gets the smallest, you then fight a field boss, which will be coming up here soon-ish. And the field boss is different. At least I think it's different depending on when or where you fight the enemy. I'm not 100% sure. I fought the same field boss like 3 times in a row in my first 3 runs, so I'm not really sure what what you can do to change that, if anything, or if it's just random and I got unlucky. But once you can beat the field boss, the day sort of ends and a new day begins, and you sort of do it all over again. So you run around, you kill more enemies, and you try to make yourself stronger to be able to kill the final boss. I think the Night Lord is what he's called. So the basic structure, more or less, is just day 1, run around, kill things to get the field boss, gather up items. Day 2, do the same, and day 3, which if you watch the whole video will show this, spoilers, you get kind of a last chance shop and a small like area that you get to sit in and level up and do things in, just for a brief amount of time before you finally actually walk up to the final boss. Sorry. And then I want to talk about leveling a little bit. You've seen me do it a couple times here, but it's very quick. You're not sitting down at the Grace at all. You're mostly just running up to the Grace. The Grace has an AoE around it that allows you to get fully healed, fully fill up your FP, and fill up the 3 Crimson Tears flasks. And you don't really sit at the Grace, more so just use it really quickly to level up. I'm not sure if leveling up actually, I don't really know how to put it, like, is different per character. I imagine it is from what I've seen. Like, the characters are probably better at doing certain things than the other. I feel like the Recluse is obviously way better with magic than any other character, whereas Wilder and the Duchess here are far better, you know, sort of DPS, if that makes any sense. But either way, you're not sitting down and actually, like, allocating stats. You're just quickly leveling up. And sorry. And, like, it's not, I don't know, it's different, I guess is what I'm trying to say. One of the things I've always liked about the Souls games is that they've been kind of slow-ish, if that makes any sense. Like, you can take your time, like, after you die or at a grace or whatever, and just look over your items and read descriptions and all that. So it's very different, but not in, like, a bad way, if that makes any sense. But I'm gonna move on to weapons and stuff like that. The weapons tend to be categorized, or are categorized, into sort of common, rare, epic, and legendary weapons. Each new tier sort of requires a base minimum level to wield it. So commons can be used at any time at any level, whereas a rare requires at least level 3, and an epic, I think, requires at least level 9. And I know the legendaries require level 12 items. But you kind of get the rare and the common items quite a lot. The same thing goes for, or I should say weapons, because, like, items themselves also drop. So you'll get fire bombs and lightning bombs and grease and other things like that to really help you. And those things just drop like candy. They're constantly being dropped by both enemies and also chests that you'll find. So I think I would recommend just using them immediately, because you are going to have a ton of them anyways, and you only have 4 item slots, so you have a sort of limited inventory here. And you can see, like, beating a boss here gets you sort of like a loot box of sorts that allows you to choose between 3 different rewards, and they're not always relevant to your character, I've noticed. There's a couple times in my other ones where I got, you know, increases your magic damage as I was playing the Duchess, and I wasn't really doing magic damage with her, so it was more or less useless to me. And you'll see a couple times here of, I will have, like, I'll get like a rapier or something that just does not help me in this run, so I just choose something else. But with all the different items and the weapons and stuff like that, you have 6 weapon slots, like in Elden Ring, and I think like in, what was it, Dark Souls 3? And there's actually a use to that too. You'll see me picking up a lot of weapons throughout this, and that's because some of the weapons, even ones that I shouldn't really be using, have passives to them. The passives, I mean, just act as like a buff as long as the weapon is in your inventory. So, like, some of them will be mundane things like, you get 4% more, like, blunt damage, or 12% more piercing. And then some of them will be actually good things, like I'll pick up later in this run, where every time an enemy dies around me, I gain a bit of my HP back, or I get a sword at some point that will slowly tick up my HP. Very slow, but, you know, HP is HP. The other thing that kind of can affect your character is sort of whether you win or lose. Or the whole run, I should say. you get these things called relics. And the relics are all color-coded, and on top of that you also get some merc, but the merc, which is used for, I guess, inside the round table hold, doesn't really do anything that I could find in the demo here. But the relics, they're all sort of, like I said, color-coded, and each character has different sort of slots to them. So like the Duchess has 3 green slots, right? So she can equip 3 green relics, and I never really got any from what I remember. I got like a ton of blues for some reason. Like Wilder there, he can take 2 reds and a blue. And I had like 5 to 7 blues, and he was the only one who could take the blue relics, and I never used him. So, I don't know. It just got me thinking that, like, maybe there will be more characters than the 4 that we have here. It might also just be that sometime down the line, playing the game, you'll be able to mess with your slots or mess with the colors of your slots, so that you'll be able to, like, modify your character, that type of thing, if that makes any sense. But the relics, though, are interesting, because they allow you to bring stuff into the run, right? And they're permanent on top of that. So even using them in the run doesn't use them up. So I got one of them that I never ended up using, but it allowed me to bring in Holy Grease from the very beginning of the game, so that I could just have that in my inventory for like a quick use. There's another one I got for Birdman, the Guardian. Every time I would hold my shield up, it would allow me to pull aggro from other enemies. So with the different sort of classes that are around, I wonder like how much it actually is relevant to sort of playing your role, like the tank being, or the Guardian being the tank, that type of thing. And the, Duchess and Wilder here being more the DPS, whereas the Mage is the big burst and sort of support damage. I don't know how much, like, you'll have to really lean into that in the base game, or in the real game, I should say. But I think it's kind of interesting that you could probably get around that, if that makes any sense. Like, I don't know, you could have like different builds for each character, or different passives, or different like weapons that you bring in, I think, with the relics. I'm just curious, and like, I don't know, I wonder how that's gonna go, and it just makes me kind of theory craft. But it does make me also sort of worried for the game, because I wonder, not having the most optimal relic, if that's not going to, like, players like me and you have a lot of time, or tend to sort of optimize the fun out of games. At least I think that we do. I know I do. So I have a bit of a worry for this game of, like, there being a sort of meta that gets established. So if you're not playing the exact most optimal build or whatever, I could see people getting really mad at you about it, despite, just kind of wanting to have fun and that type of thing. Because I don't think getting to the final boss is that hard. I got to them twice out of the 4 runs that I did. So, granted, for the first couple, I definitely got carried, and I probably definitely got carried in this one. I feel like the Duchess did a lot of lead. So, she kind of carried me in the Wilder, even though Wilder did a ton of damage later down the line here. But, I don't know, I'm worried about things like that for this game, if that makes any sense. But yeah. All in all, though, like, I wish I had more time to play this, because, like I said, it really clicked for me, like, right afterwards. And the other thing is, I don't know, with the Recluse here, if there's, like, a minimum sort of, like, distance I need to be for pulling the magic affinities off of things, and I don't know if I could do it for the player characters too, because sometimes you can lock onto them. So it'll be like specifically when people get downed and you can hit them to bring them back up, then you can lock on them. I wonder if you could pull the magic affinity off of them, like you can see on the Duchess here. But yeah, and I don't know. I'm really excited for this game, but also not as excited as I was originally after playing it. I'm not a super big fan of all the sort of battle royale mechanics, like the storm and everything along those lines. I'm very cautiously optimistic, I guess, for this game. It's just, I don't know. I could see it getting really toxic really fast, and I know there are bits of the Souls community that is already pretty toxic, so, you know, it's, I don't know. It's a very good game, though, I think. And it was a lot of fun seeing, like, the centipede demon that we saw earlier. Also because I haven't fought them in forever since Dark Souls 1, and, you know, I've been playing these games for a long, long time. I've been playing since, what was it, original Demon Souls, way back out on the PS3, I think it was? Like, no, because it wasn't PS2, so, but, I don't know. Yeah, I'm interested to see where the game goes, or how it's going to be fully implemented. Like how much customization is there going to be, and how much of a meta is going to be established out of everything. Well, yeah, that's kind of, for all my ramblings, I'm like, that's kind of all I have to talk about the game, other than, you know, it's interesting seeing the even newer bosses like Morgott and other stuff like that, just seeing their new abilities in this game. They are amped up to 11. They are very strong. You'll see later, spoilers, in this run that we fight Morgott. Man, he really just, like, destroyed me. But, all in all, thank you for listening. I hope that if you made it this far, you know, that you've been enjoying it. I hope you continue to watch it. I think this is about all I really have to say on it, so enjoy the game. Enjoy the gameplay, despite me being bad at it. Whenever it comes out, I'll probably be seeing you out on the field too, so good luck out there, and have fun. Thanks for listening. you made it to the end of the video here, I want to say thank you very much. I definitely appreciate you watching it all the way through. If you could, you know, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, all that type of stuff. I understand. You know, you probably hear that a lot, but it would be appreciative. Have a good one. Take it easy.